Hello and welcome to the Blood Bowl Diaries, episode 9, with me, Hellboy.
And me, the fear.
Wow, we've had a little breakaway, Fear. Before we begin, I should explain that it is largely my fault. Unfortunately, real life does sometimes intervene with our hobbies and our game of Blood Bowl that we use to escape real life. I know you've been you've had some busy times as well, Fear. But yeah, we're back for another episode, and I am very excited to get into this one. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got a lot's happened, and you've been on commentary duty, haven't you?
Yes, I've
Couple of
been.
weeks in a row, slightly unexpectedly,
Yeah, yep.
but that all went pretty well. So, and we both played quite a lot of Blood Bowl, and we've got this massive tournament on the horizon.
Yeah, and we got some news about that as well. Because I don't. Did we mention the news in the last episode? Because I don't think we did. Because I think at the end of the last episode, the big news was that I was going to represent Wales at EuroBowl, and you were going to be attending a local tournament with probably about 15 people there.
Well, I mean, there'll be a few more than 15 people, but I shall no longer be there. Some very sad news. I'm no longer. Wales is leading online Chaos Dwarf coach, nor am I Wales's leading online High Elf coach.
I'm terribly sad. Have you been overtaken?
No, I'm now England's leading online High Elf coach. And yeah, I was very honoured to receive a message from Pete W, captain of Team England, to ask if I was doing anything the weekend of Euro Bowl, and would I like to join the official Team England EuroOpen team. And
Congratulations! That is a fantastic achievement. Wonderful, well deserved, and I really look forward to seeing you out in Malta. I was outside of the podcast. We've been chatting about stuff, and I was quite sad that you weren't going to be there. And I think you were a bit sad that you weren't going to be there as well, weren't you?
yeah, well, obviously, I'd put my name forward for Team Wales, and was quite fairly judged to be surplus to requirements, so that's fine. I had put my name forward for the Corsairs team that they make up, obviously, because it's not even numbers, is it, of teams that have entered Euro Bowl.
Yeah, they've got some. You could call them ringers, additional players. I don't know how you want to phrase it. I'm saying it cheekily because although you weren't called up, my co-commentator friend El Duderino was called up. As he likes to say, some are selected and some are chosen, and he was chosen.
I think part of the issue that I had was that I took too long to think about it, and by the time I put my name down, they came back quite quickly and said, "Very sorry, but we picked the 8 now."
Fair enough. Yep.
You know,
But
I,
their loss,
well,
official
well,
England
yeah,
EuroPen team's gain.
yeah. So I mean, it's interesting one because it's so Wolfen, who is the guy that runs, when he has time, runs the Tackle Zone website,
Yes,
which
indeed.
the league that I run on Fumble, Tackle Zone Star Divisions, is named after. Um, and it was also he who provided it's still on YouTube if anybody wants to go and find it. Did sort of commentary and video of selected games at the Euro Bowl in Cardiff.
Yeah, live streamed
Yeah,
with
live
some
streaming.
great
That's it.
with some nice commentary from various members of the community as well. Yeah, and that was some of my first introduction into watching tabletop and stuff, and that's something that I know is being expanded upon now. You often see a guy somewhere on a table with his iPhone plugged in on a tripod pointing down over the pitch or something like that, and it all kind of stems from that, doesn't it? And NAFC, of course, we even had some professional streamers in from the Twitch community. Some of the big wargaming setup came in and did that as well, and all that, it all comes from that same place, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know that people had done it before, just putting cameras up. He's the first one that I was aware of that actually went and sat there and commentated on it. And he actually did NAFC as well in 2019 would have been the last one before
Yeah,
COVID.
it was the 2019 before
He did,
COVID. Yeah.
yeah, he did that one as well. But it was his coverage of EuroBowl in 2018 that actually shifted me from being firmly, I'm only ever going to be a progression league tabletop player, to going, oh, competitive Blood Bowl. That's quite interesting. And it's so, to explain the circle, he's the one that's had to drop out of Team England EuroOpen, which has freed up the spot. So it's just kind of really weird that that's happened. I, in all honesty, it's not like I put my name forward and got sort of selected for the team in that sort of respect. At this point, when somebody's dropping out, I suppose there's a couple of things they're probably thinking about. One is who can actually go, so I probably score some points there because I could actually attend. And then they're probably thinking, well, who knows the meta quite well? And a lot of them playing, a lot of the Team England guys playing the Tackle Zone League. They know that I know the EuroMold meta upside down, back to front, having run that league and so on and so forth. So I suppose when they were thinking, right, well, there's only a few weeks to go here and we need to find somebody that will do a reasonable job. I suppose I make sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well that you're known to the guys. You've had some great results. We all people, regular listeners to the podcast will hear we've had ups and downs. Both of us have had ups and downs. But definitely when you're on the ups, you are challenging some of the best coaches in the world. You've beaten some of the best and challenged some of the best as well, and that does make the difference when you're at an international standard. But we'll definitely be coming back onto that when we tap into our EuroBowl kind of section of this podcast. So I guess yeah. So that's the biggest news probably that we've had between the two of us since the last podcast. But
Yeah.
But what else have you been up to? I mean, you've finished off your Super League, that's tied off, and TSD are into the playoffs now. So is that how's those been going?
Yeah, so I was using my my Zone roster in Tackle Zone Star Division. That's gone. That went pretty well actually.
Well, I'd go so far as to say maybe exceptionally well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The team was unbeaten. Unfortunately, I had to sort of step out because I'm not taking that roster to EuroBowl. Or to EuroOpen, sorry. So, really, I needed to spend the time that I do have to practice with the roster that I'm taking. So, I've sort of stepped out without playing in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, it went it went really well in the sense that I won 4 games and drew one. Beat Undead, beat Lizards, beat High Elves, beat Dwarfs. We expect to beat Dwarfs, I suppose, with oh no, actually no, sorry, you wouldn't expect to beat Dwarfs with Zons, would you? But yeah, beat Dwarfs. And the one game that I drew was against Skaven, and
Yeah, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of whether you're taking the roster or not, clearly you've played well. You've understood the matchups, and you are playing well. Even without taking that roster to EuroBowl, they've just asked a guy who's gone undefeated in the rule set to come and join the England EuroPen team. So that's got to be filling you with some not necessarily confidence, but you've got to be feeling good about how you're playing at the moment.
Yeah, and the standout moment of the whole run was against the Skaven team, where I marked a gutter runner with the Zote, and the gutter runner with block decided to take a 3 dice uphill on the Zote and rolled triple both down.
Yes, I remember you sent me a screenshot over Discord. You said this is the moment when my opponent decided to do the 3 dice uphill.
Yeah, and then ran over, and I think he had a dirty play or a sneaky git or something. Ran over and fouled it off the pitch.
Brilliant, brilliant. Those are the moments you live for. That is
Yeah,
Blood Bowl. That is
absolutely.
Blood Bowl.
That was a special moment. But yeah, that was. But it's been quite good. I mean, I think I played two or three of the guys from Team Greece in that run, and my friend Dragonborn with the Lizards. So yeah, I mean, goodbye to the old Amazons, I suppose, and this tournament will be
Oh
the
yeah, of course,
final
yes,
farewell.
yes. A
But
small
yeah,
small violin playing there, but
yeah.
but
But
I
what we can say about Zons in this format is there have been four Zon coaches, right, in the
yes,
in the league,
yes.
all using different rosters. So me with the Zote, and I could have taken a place in the playoffs had I so chosen. A fair,
Topper went with the White
the
Dwarf.
White Dwarf, and I think he's taking them to EuroBowl for Denmark.
Yes, yep, yep, the same
That
roster.
build. He qualified for the playoffs. Gegster, reasonably well-known Amazon player called Gegster, who took a dirty player build, which again I think is the build he's taking to
Yeah,
EuroBowl.
dirty player bribe. Yep.
Yep. He very nearly qualified for the playoffs. And then he was picked, wasn't he, by another Amazon coach who's just gone with a vanilla, get as many players and re-rolls and stuff on the pitch as I can roster.
Yeah, kind of a traditional, typical kind of old
Yeah,
school Amazon roster. Yep.
yeah, known as Hellboy, who was
Yep.
also qualified for the playoffs.
Yes, indeed. Yes, I had a miraculous turn of turn of the tables, as it were, in TSD this season. I was 1-1-1 after 3 games, and I was looking at it going, oh, okay, I'm probably out the running now, because to qualify out of the group, it's the top one. From the 5 groups goes through, so you've got to be the top coach, and I'm in there with guys that are undefeated at the moment, and I've lost one already, and I'm looking at it going, okay, well, but there's a couple of best placed loser spots, best second place kind of runner up spots, as it were, but I wasn't even considering that, and then I kind of managed to go on a 3-win streak. As you say, I did. I managed to played Gegster right at the end, and we had a fantastic game. Really enjoyed it. We'll enjoy talking with Geg about it and stuff. And we had a good nice chat afterwards and stuff. But even in that game, I wasn't even. I said it to Geg. I said I would have just taken the draw. I wasn't even looking at playoffs at that point. Like it was more the game kind of turned and fell into my hands, and I was able to maximise it. And yeah, I got the win there, and then I'm in the playoffs, and I've played my quarterfinal today,
Yes.
versus another Zon build, which was Topper with his White Dwarf build, and I've beaten Topper in another interesting matchup, and yeah, I'm in the semi-finals now.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting, won't it? Because I think the one build that you found really difficult, or at least you sort of.
I got butchered. We talked about it. I think in the last podcast, I said it was a game where I felt like I could do nothing. I very rarely have games where I feel like I could do nothing. And I played versus is it
Oliver Dulac?
Yeah, Oliver Dulac's Skaven with Creek, and
Yeah.
he bulldozed me 4-0.
And so
I mean,
you're.
it reaches a point where it reaches a point where 2-0 or 4-0, it doesn't really matter, does it? So I was pushing to try and score, but yes, but no, 4-0.
And what we can say about Oliver Dulac is, first and foremost, he's been playing a lot of Skaven recently, to the point where he, I think during a tournament recently, he actually did his NAF ranking, actually did pass K-Fode's Dark Elf ranking. So for one game, he was,
number one in the world.
He was number one in the world.
Wow.
But then sadly, I think he fell away a little bit in the rest of the tournament and dropped out the top 5, I think, or maybe dropped down to number 5 or something like that. So,
but hey, I mean, to even be knocking on the door of the top 5 in the world with a race is just That's
He's a very
pretty
good
good.
Skaven coach.
Yeah,
But
very good.
your semi-final opponent in TSD will now be Strider,
Yes, yes,
Switzerland.
with Underworld and
Yeah,
Creek again. God damn it!
Creek again. Yeah,
I know.
yeah, Creek again.
I feel there's some symmetry here now, which is a nice segue actually into the other thing that I've been partaking in, of course, which you were involved in running as well, is Super League,
Yeah.
and in Super League I got drawn worst possible matchup, round one, Lizards versus my Chorfs, lost that game, won the next four on the bounce. And then last game of the season, Lizards again got beaten up again. So I feel there's some symmetry there. It's a bit, I'm hoping that I can break this. I'm hoping I can break Creek. Yeah, it's not break the duck or anything like that. Not break this streak or anything. No, I want to break Creek. That's what I want to do. So I have to do that. Otherwise, it will just look like worst possible matchup. Nothing else I could do.
I think it's a tough one for Zons, just because both of those, the Underworld and the Skaven rosters with Creek, are probably packing the Rat Ogre as well. And obviously, animal savagery can always move because he can just hit one of his own snotlings or something on the Underworld team or whatever, and can always move.
And the other thing is, as we touched on, my Zon build is 14 players, so deep bench, great if I'm facing an 11 player build or 12 player build. I'm not afraid to do things, but Underworld are bringing the same amount. Okay, there's a load of strength 2s and 1s knocking around, but they're bringing the same numbers, and then with swarming they're bringing more onto the pitch. My advantage starts to kind of slip away a bit.
I think that the thing about it is with full guard, you can probably, and as a Zon coach, you're kind of used to dealing with the one strength 5 player. But when you've got to deal with a strength 5 and a strength 7 player, which is Creek effectively, is what you really want to be able to dodge away from them, at least one of them. Because they both bring prehensile tail, so that's all of a sudden making those dodges into 4+.
And also the ball and chain, in the new rule set, the ball and chain not having to move the full distance. So I played against Creek with Amazons back in the old rule set, the most recent 2016 rule set, and I remember having to ask the TO to clarify to my opponent that you had to move all the squares with the ball and chain. But now, obviously, you don't have to move all the squares with the ball and chain. So Creek can just move 2 squares and go, oh, well, I'm now on 4 Amazons. Yep, I don't move anymore. Right. Now I'm going to move that one over there. And so that can't be underestimated. And as you say, because you don't have the firepower to deal with the strength 7, strength 5, 1D it, maybe get a cheeky 2D on that one. But a strength 7, and the fear of the uphill, if you get the chance to go for the uphill, that's maybe you do take it. But in an overtime format in particular, you don't necessarily want to be risking burning the reroll, and they're only AV 8+, the Amazons, so you don't really want to be taking the both down necessarily if you can avoid it.
Well, unless it happens to be one of your blitzers or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. But then are you willing to?
How does wrestle interact? How does wrestle interact with the ball and chain? That's the question.
I presume you just you both lie down, but the ball and chain just goes off, doesn't it? Because they can't be prone. They get they go off. So presumably it goes into the reserves box.
Well, I think officially its arms are broken and it's automatically KO'd if it gets knocked out.
Of course, it's automatic KO.
It's knocked over. So what happens if you wrestle it? Does it get KO'd? We'll have to have a look at that.
Well, I'll have to look at that before the next match.
Well, we'll see what happens on Fumble.
Strider, brace yourself. I'm going after you with the wrestles-ons. Right, there we go. That's my tactics employed. We'll see whether Strider listens to the podcast.
But anyway, interesting that Zons have done so well.
Definitely, and in the EuroBowl rule set. So it would be interesting to see now how they actually perform out in EuroBowl and EuroOpen, because there are a fair old number of teams. But we'll come on to those. Shortly. So I've mentioned about my Super League. How have you felt that one's gone? Because you didn't play, did you? Because you were an odd number with yourself in, so you sat out. But how have you felt this one's gone? Because obviously you've run two leagues now. You've run Tackle Zone Star Divisions. We're in the fourth season of this, and I remember us chatting. And one of the best things about TSD is that maybe slightly less this season. I've seen there's a few coaches have not necessarily played their games towards the end. Maybe they were experimenting with a EuroBowl rule, like team build that they weren't quite convinced at by the end, and once they were out the running, maybe they've dropped off a bit. But one of the real perks of TSD the whole way through tends to be that people play all the matches and play very seriously. Even if I'm playing a dead rubber, as it were, in the game 6 and 7, for example, I would be expecting my opponent to be playing those to win, or at least playing the matchup in the way that they want to play that game. So, by contrast to that, how have you found Super League going on? Because obviously Super League has been open to. It's not been just a selection of right. Are you a EuroBowl level coach? Yes, no, kind of thing. It's hey, does anyone want to come in and play? And you've been a bit more open to a general community kind of approach.
Yeah, I mean it's been interesting because I think with all of these things, there's two approaches to it, right? There's probably three approaches, right? You've got people that just want to play Blood Bowl, okay, and just enjoy the game, right? And then you've got people who are, very, very good or very competitive, who are playing sort of to win. And then it's interesting because you get these kind of crossover people, I suppose, who probably do very, very well in their own environments, their own tabletop league or their own little leagues on Fumble or BB2 or something, who then, cross over into something different or something bigger. And what sometimes happens then is if those people who come in sort of expecting to do quite well struggle, find that it's a step up in level, or they get a bit of bad luck for a few games. We do seem to have had a few more dropouts, and some of those are explained by real life events. We've had a couple of people sort of, what do they call it on TikTok? Is it quiet quitting? Is that the phrase?
I don't know. I'm not down with the youth fear. Although I am a younger man.
Yes.
For me, TikTok is the sound a clock makes,
Right, yeah. So, effectively just seemingly just quitting the league but not telling anyone.
That's a shame, isn't it? Because you'd rather hear from someone to say, "Hey, look, I'm not enjoying it," or "Hey, sorry, I've chosen the wrong race completely. It's just not gelling for me." You'd rather have that kind of feedback, and then the person say, "Look, do you mind if I drop out in the next round," kind of thing, than rather be hanging on, because obviously it's a 2-week window for games, but at the end of those 2 weeks you don't want to be having to chase people. I remember I ran a league for a while for one of the streamers on Twitch, a guy called Sky Blue Monty, lovely guy, but I ran a league for him. I ran his league for him. I remember saying to Monty when we got into season 3, I said, "Look, Monty, I can't run it anymore because every 2 weeks I'm just sat there chasing people saying, why haven't you played your games? Come on, guys. It's a scheduled league. You need to be playing these games." And just issuing admin wins, admin draws, left, right, and centre. And it's not what you need to be doing. 1 or 2, fair enough. But when you're doing half, it was only a small league, but I'd end up doing half the league sometime would be an admin situation every couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's difficult on Fumble as well because there isn't there isn't a draw option implemented yet. As an admin, you have to kind of make a decision. You have to kind of forfeit people, which is perilous in itself because sometimes people get upset that you're saying that they have to forfeit the game, but that there isn't a draw option, so you have to pick someone. And it's quite interesting to me that that some people here, like Arioso, a very well-known German coach, one of the best German coaches in the EuroBowl team, would expect to do very, very well in a league like Super League, has had an absolute shocker and has 1 draw and 5 losses. Okay, but you know what? He played all 6 games, finished
Yeah.
bottom of the league.
Yeah. Absolute
And
credit. Yeah.
and if you want, if you want to know why that guy's one of the best players, that's it exactly, because he just turned up and played all 6 games and tried to work out what was going wrong.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Casting back our minds to Tackle Zone Star Division 2, won it with Necro. Tackle Zone Star Division 3, I think I went 1 or 2, 1, 3 or something with Necro. And I've literally just come off the back of winning one. I've rolled and I've gone, yeah, I'll go Necro again then. And I've been absolutely hammered. But I played every game, and I don't think I won until game 4. I don't think I got a win until game 4. But there was absolutely no way I was going to quit that league in any way. There was no way I was going to give up, because you've got. That's where the learning happens. That's where learning in Blood Bowl happens. It's when you're on the ropes. It's when you've lost. It's when you're in an unfavourable matchup. Sometimes a draw can be as good, if not better, in a matchup. I don't know. Something awful, Lizards versus Chorfs. If as the Chorfs you actually get a draw, then you've drawn a game you probably lose on paper most of the time. And wow, if you get the win versus the Lizards, you've just completely flipped the odds.
Yeah. Well, let's have another one here. There's a chap here called. I'm assuming this is the same person. There's a chap here called Dodge22, right? Who's gone 2-0-4 with his Lizards, right, in Super League. But he's played all 6 games, right?
Yep.
I saw today, I'm pretty sure today, that over the weekend he's won a tournament down on the South Coast. He's won the one of the ones that's run by the Bonehead podcast people with lizards.
Yeah, fantastic.
So do you know what I mean? But anyway, so that's been the frustration, I think, is the people just kind of wandering off and not saying anything.
Yeah, sure.
We've had a little pause because we were kind of waiting for the World Cup rules to see what they were going to look like for season 2. We've had a look at those in their current form a little bit. There's a tournament that's being hosted in Spain that sort of says it's using some sort of draft version of the rules. Triple Skull and I have decided that we're going to do something slightly different to the World Cup rules with Super League season 2, and I'll be sticking that up probably this weekend for people to start putting teams in. Just because, that draft version, I'm hoping it has a few changes, shall we say?
Okay, fair enough. Well, there's plenty of time, and World Cup coming up. There's definitely some excitement brewing about that. But if it's not going to be the finalised rule set, you're going to be able to get at least 2 or 3 more seasons of Super League in with that rule set if you choose to, aren't you? So
yeah. But what's nice is, some of the people that finish at the top are, to me anyway, reasonably unknown names. Store I knew, obviously. Ryuji, I didn't really know. Shark Rudy, I sort of knew as someone who organised stuff. Bud Milker, I didn't really know. Jopozuki, I didn't really know. There's some people that finish quite high in Super League. In and amongst your kind of, your Stores and your Striders and your Triple Skulls and your Hellboys, that I didn't really. It's been quite nice to meet some new people who are doing well at tabletop Blood Bowl. Yeah, it's been quite good.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's great, and I think I look forward to seeing how this one develops, and hopefully people will if obviously if you've got a real life situation that means you have to pull out, there is absolutely no issue at any point. This is why we play online Blood Bowl. In this, and particularly in this resurrection format, you're not worried about your team, dying and you not being able to come back and, and oh God, I'm going to lose all this money and these players are going to get fired and stuff. No, if you've got a real life situation that means you can't play, then that's fine. But as you've just mentioned there, Fear, if you're listening and you haven't said to someone like Fear, not just Fear, but other people that run the leagues, always polite to say, look, I'm not going to be able to play the rest of my games. Really sorry, and that's all it takes, isn't it? A little message like that, that's all it takes.
Yeah, because we can adapt. Sometimes there's a bit of a waiting list. You can bring people in. I could drop myself into the league.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's sort of, 2 weeks go by and then you think, well, what do we do now? And I think what I will do, one of the lessons I have learned is if somebody isn't responsive in a sort of 2 week period and just completely misses their game on that basis, I'm going to be a lot more trigger happy next season and just chuck them out and get somebody else in, because
Yeah, very good.
I didn't want to do it in this case because I was thinking, well, maybe they've been on holiday for 2 weeks. Maybe it's not been top of their. You know what I mean? It was kind of.
Oh yeah. But I think if you make it clear at the start, look, due to previous situations, this is the rule. You know, you're more likely to have people approve of it, and you're not going to have to kick someone out who was genuinely distracted. You know, but you can clamp down on those. Good stuff. So, the only thing I've got left to talk about is a little bit of tabletop. I've been to one tabletop tournament. Have you been to any as well since the last podcast? You've done one as well, haven't you?
I've done one, and I'm playing a NAF on Fumble as well.
Oh, lovely. Right. Well, do you want to do your Fumble one now? Do you want to do your Fumble one now? So we stick on Fumble, and then I'll do my tabletop. You do your tabletop, and then we'll get on to EuroBowl.
Yeah. So it's called Road to Malta, obviously. And
sounds like an episode of Family Guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Road to Malta. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's a 4-player tournament, which I've entered with the same guys I enter most things with. Speeding Bullet has taken some Wood Elves.
Not a surprise there.
Yeah, well, he's taken them to EuroBowl. So there we go. So EuroOpen, sorry. Dragonborn, I had to politely ask to step aside from playing Lizards because I needed to practice with them for EuroOpen. So he's taken some Undead, and Golden Gate's taken some roller dwarfs, actually.
Wow! So basically the same kind of rosters that the four of you would enjoy taking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Very good. Racially sounds like a very strong team. Undead, lizards, wood elves, and dwarves. Those are all those are 4 kind of powerful races.
Yeah.
In the
for me, it's been good to get back playing some lizards again, and I enjoyed them. So I've taken. I mean, anyone that looks on the Mike Davis's amazing tableau will see that my EuroOpen roster is 12 players, one of which is a chameleon skink. The rest you probably expect 2 rerolls and an Apo. And I so far have I've taken on Kaledra's Necromantic, which was a nice tidy 2-0 win.
Very good.
That one went all right. I took on Mongor 79's Orcs. I think he's going to EuroOpen, so shout out to Mongor. Which I think is his NAF name, just without the 79. Interesting orc build there, because no troll.
Oh, okay, interesting.
13 players.
We do love our orc build discussions on the Blood Bowl Diaries, because we are still yet to find the perfect orc build.
Well, there we go. So 13 players, including a goblin, no troll. 2 block big uns, 2 guard big uns, a mighty blow blitz or a tackle blitzer. I think that's about it. Just the 6 skills they get, isn't it?
Yeah, 6 skills.
Yeah, I think it was interesting in that one because he was quite aggressive on defense and really pushed into me and probably gave me quite a lot of blocks. And then Armour 9 plus decided to fold and lots of his to the field.
Yeah.
And that was probably the story of that one. I was then scheduled to play your friend and mine, New Zealand's premier fumble player, Sandoon.
Oh, yes.
Listeners will remember. And I absolutely messed up with the time difference because we was really struggling to find a mutual time with him being in New Zealand. And I thought I was playing him on Saturday evening. When in fact I was playing him on my Friday evening, which was his Saturday morning.
Oh, dear.
And a genuine error, apologies to Neil Watt and Stymie that run it. So I had to take that. I mean, it was my fault that we didn't play. He was sitting there waiting. He loaded the game up and everything. And I was sat watching telly. I could have played him, but I just...
Oh God! Well, don't say that, mate. Say you were out with you were driving your child home from something, or your wife was in hospital. God, don't you were just sat on your backside on the sofa watching, I don't know, some, whatever junk TV is running at the moment. God, mate.
It's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker.
Oh, unbelievable. And here we are. What have I just said for the last segment?
Yeah.
Make sure apologize, do this, do that. And look at
Well,
that. You're missing your own scheduling, mate. I've got no sympathy for your fear anymore. Sorry.
in fairness, I messaged everyone involved and immediately put my hands up, said it's my fault. So you're going to need
Good.
to
Well done.
forfeit,
Well done. You've redeemed yourself. You've redeemed yourself.
which they did. And then the last game, only a few days ago, was against Jaskia, who I think is Polish. And their dirty player, Amazons.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, which was quite an interesting one because what happened? I don't know why I did this. I took my blocks on. I think he put me into bat, and I took my blocks on the line scrimmage with my Saurus, and for some reason I decided that I was going to blitz. He deployed with the sort of rule of five, the boat, whatever you want to call it, the smile, line of scrimmage, and then 3 players protecting 5 behind.
Yep.
And for whatever insane reason, I decided the best move was to blitz his blitzer with my Croxigal, rather than use it on the line of scrimmage. Don't know why I decided to do that, but off I went. Obviously got punished with the 1 in 9, scored both down. Which therefore obviously left him with a very, very juicy foul target for his dirty player. So we crowded around the Croxigal, fouled it. I was fortunate that he only got the stun. But that did mean he left his dirty player blitzable. So I blitzed his dirty player, which immediately died.
Very good.
And then his next turn, he ran over with a different player and fouled my Crocs again and removed it.
Oh, okay.
Badly injured though, so the Apo put it back on the bench, which is good.
Good. Very nice. Good use of the Apo.
We then had a bit of a fight with Saurus and his 4 guard blitzers just kind of fighting each other while everyone else just kind of stood around watching. The ball in a nice cage, me not really too bothered about going anywhere too quickly because I only need to get to rank 10. About turn 6, I pushed forward. He came across to cover, but because I'd sort of switched sides on him, quicker, he wasn't able to get across and fully sort of bank off. So turn 7, I went round the outside of him. I ended up in a nice position with a skink right next to the sideline. 1 space, then a Saurus. 1 space, then another skink. My ball carrying skink is on the diagonal in between the skink on the sideline and the Saurus. And then I've got another skink that's come round to sort of map off the front of the cage. That third skink that's in that line across the pitch probably should have gone for it once. Because what he then does is he's got one. It was a 7-minute turn. I mean, it took a while to think about it.
Okay.
But he obviously wasn't using Soundbone. I'll tell you why in a minute. He a 3+ dodge past that skink on the end of the line with his blitzer. And then a 4+ dodge next, sort of around the skink that's my front kind of cage corner. And then a 5+ dodge to stand next to my ball carrier. And there's 2 go for it's in there as well. And that gave him, because he's been able to move another piece with double go for it's to mark that skink on the cage corner. That gave him 2 dice on the ball carrier, used the reroll, got it down. I needed like a 1 dice block to clear it off. Then I could have picked it up and gone in for 1-0, but I scored the 1 dice block. Obviously. That play that he made to knock the ball carrier over, he'd have actually had better odds if he'd taken the 6+ dodge.
Wow.
Back of,
wow.
when I put it into the. So, yeah, that was quite interesting. So, and with the way everything fell, he had 11, I had 10. Second half, he's got the ball. I'm thinking we're in trouble here. But I found a couple of quite nice chain pushes. So I was able to get my Crocs like in contact with the ball carrier without actually having to activate him.
Yep.
Which was good. That put him under all sorts of pressure. He really, at that point, then had 2 options. He could probably run backwards and we draw, or he could run forwards, half potato. But obviously it gives him a chance to win. I found the knockdown on a 2 dice block with double go for it with a Saurus. Borger's in the crowd. Ball lands in roughly the right space. There's a bit of bobbing around, and now turn 8, I need a 3+ dodge with a skink, a 4+ pickup, a 3+ dodge, and double go for it. I have a reroll in hand.
Not bad.
Don't need it. We win 1-0.
Oh, well done. Well done. So what do you end on then? What's that?
Well, no, we're still going. There's 2 games to go.
Sorry. I thought it was. It was a 4. Oh, sorry. It's a 4-person. It's a 6-person, but 4-person. Sorry, I thought it was 4 people, 4 games. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah,
6 games. So, I'm currently on 301, with the 1 being
the 1 being the admin error.
My next opponent, funnily enough, is Strider.
Oh.
And his Creek Underworld.
Oh gosh.
I shall be playing him on Saturday night.
Excellent, and I'm playing him on Sunday night.
Sunday night, yeah, which is why I can't play him on Saturday night.
Very good. Very good.
So, at some point, I mean, we won't do another podcast now before EuroBowl, but it would have been quite fun to see.
Yeah, well, we maybe we'll if we can remember, we'll do an update on how we got on versus Strider. Lizards, Amazons, and Underworld. Who's going to come out on top? I have a feeling that Strider will go 2-0-0.
The last 2 times I played that guy, I should have won both games, and very strange things happened.
I diced the pants off Strider the last time we played, which was in I think it was in Tackle Zone Star Division on Blood Bowl 2 playoffs last 16. I beat him with Underworld versus Humans, I believe he was. I beat him in the last 16. And then I played versus you in that one as well. Yeah, that's oh my goodness me, there's such a symmetry. I love it. Either the Blood Bowl world is very small, or it's just meant to be. Yeah.
That's that. So we'll we've got 2 games left of that, and we'll see how we go. I think we're doing all right as a team at the moment.
Very good.
Onto the tabletop. Yeah. Where do you want to start? Because you've got 2 bits of tabletop, and I've only got 1.
Okay. So I'll start. So I'll start with the tabletop that I played in. Let's start with that one. So I went to Red Trophy 6, run by No Number. Shout out to No Number. Every time we do a podcast, I seem to be shouting out No Number. It might just be that I go to his tournaments because they're kind of close to where I am. So
does he not also run a tournament every month?
He now runs a tournament every month, and he's also on Team Wales for EuroBowl. Got called up because we had a dropout similar to what's occurred with the EuroOpen England team. We've had a dropout, and he's been called up. So wonderful stuff. So that's great. Right. So onto what I was doing. So I took Amazons, and I took as close to the build that I wanted to take to EuroBowl as I could. I was actually gaining a skill. But you and I had a chat before, and we were saying, right, well, you can work out which skill you want to drop, basically, by the end of it. So I didn't necessarily go to target the meta. I went to play and find out the build that I wanted to take to EuroBowl. With my Amazons, I started off, played versus a guy, Suspicious Noble, who'd brought Dark Elves. Managed to get him to score quite quickly. I'm not going to go too in depth into these because I do. We've both been very excited to talk about EuroBowl, so I'll just kind of fire through these a bit. I got him to score early, turn 5, I think it was. I managed to force his score. Then it was a case of me getting grinding down the pitch, getting the score. We did lose a turn. So I had to go a bit faster down the pitch than I'd wanted to. I think I went from having a 4 turn to a 3 turn. But with some dodges, I managed to get there, and then it was just a case of grinding down for the 2-1 win. I was pleased with how I played versus the racial matchup there. I enjoyed that one. Game 2 was against Nithilius with their humans. That was an interesting human build. There was some skill choices there that were maybe what I wouldn't expect in a EuroBowl roster. There was a double Mighty Blow. There was one blitzer with Mighty Blow, and then another blitzer with Mighty Blow. Whereas you might expect to see a guard there instead of the mighty blow at a maybe in something like EuroBowl. But that was an interesting game. I actually managed to turn him over on his turn 3. I had a shot on the ball on turn 2, and then I had another shot on the ball on turn 3. Managed to turn him over and scored on his drive, but then failed to score on my own drive, and in the end just played to make sure that he couldn't score back, and I just won the game 1-0. You know, I couldn't really get the momentum going, so that was that. So I was two wins at that point, and I sat down to play versus Dafo's Lizardmen. There were a lot of Lizardmen at this tournament. The rule set does favour lizards quite a lot there. So I sat down versus Dafo, who was a wonderful coach, really nice guy. I think I pushed him into the end zone to get him to score early, and then with some elaborate dodging kind of thing. But then I scored on his drive as well, so it was 1-1. And then my team just disintegrated. The game just flipped completely, and he punished me hard for it. I just my team just kind of didn't implode or anything, but the game slipped away. There was a turn of 3 stuns kind of thing happens, and I just ran out of team, and the lizards did what lizards do, and 2-1 loss there, but lovely guy Dafo, and he did quite well at the tournament in the end. I think got to play a lot of the top coaches, obviously, because he went 3-0-0 on day 1, so got to play the top coaches on day 2 as well. Then on day 2, I started by playing one of the Welsh lads, that other Asian guy, who, if you get a chance to play him, Fear, has got an amazing pitch. He's had a pitch made, and it is absolute quality. So yes, I really enjoyed. I insisted that he brought his pitch over and we played on his pitch. The bit that I like most about the pitch is that on his side it says that other Asian guy, and on the other side it says that other guy. So I like that. I like that about the pitch.
That's cool.
Yeah, he'd brought lizards as well, and we had it was an interesting game. He managed to score on his drive. I did have a few cracks at the ball, but couldn't stop that. I scored in 8. Then we rolled the timeout, so he gained an extra turn, and luckily I was able to shut down his 2-turn and stop him from scoring there. So we ended in a 1-1 draw, which was really nice. Really enjoyed that game. Then I played Bart K in game 5. Nice guy. Discovered at the start of the game that his roster was slightly illegal.
Oh no!
But we rectified it. Mistakes happen.
Have you played him before? TC?
No. I played the other Bart.
Okay.
Yeah, I played the other one. No, I hadn't played him before. No. But yeah, no, absolutely. We rectified that situation. I scored on my drive. I very, very nearly stopped him scoring on his. And in that matchup, I feel the Amazons were a little bit underpowered. He had 2 block mummies in this rule set. So I felt like I was very much on the back foot. So I left him needing, I think he needed 3 chain pushes and then a 3+ dodge to score. So I felt quite happy that he made it, but I felt quite happy that that's what I'd forced him to do, kind of thing, So 1-1 there, that was very nice. And then I sat down for my last game versus Gritter with Lizardmen, and Gritter, of course, won Water Bowl with Lizards. So that was an exciting match. That was
stonking good Lizard coach. Yeah.
Oh, and it was a brilliant game. I tell you what, that was an absolutely brilliant game. I jumped over a prone player. I sacked a skink on 2 GFIs. I nearly scored on his drive. Instead, we went 0-0. It was a tete-a-tete. He sacked me. I picked the ball up. He sacked me again. He tried to pick the ball up on a 4, failed. The scatter goes out. I then have to do an elaborate block, pick up, pass, hand off, run down thing. It was a brilliant game. Really, really, really nice. And I squeaked the 1-0 win there. But it was just, yeah, I felt like I played some really nice Blood Bowl in that game, and I think that Gritter and I really pushed each other. So that was really good fun. So I ended on 3-2-1 there. I'd also managed to go 1-1-1 versus Lizards, having lost to Lizards on day one. I managed to then draw and then beat Lizards. So I was really happy with the teams I faced, because obviously Dark Elves popular in EuroBowl, Lizards popular in EuroBowl, and Undead and Humans also popular in EuroBowl. So I played against EuroBowl races, and yeah, I felt like I played well, and 3-2-1 result, and I left with my with my mind set on what I wanted my EuroBowl roster to look like. So all in all, a really good tournament, and as always, if you can get down to any of No Numbers events, I always strongly recommend them.
Is it a shop that he runs?
Yes, he runs a shop. Yeah, he's a tabletop.
What's it called?
Hang on a minute. Yeah, it's Tabletop Republic. There we go. Yeah. My brain. It's because the Welsh Championships happen in Firestorm Games, don't they?
Yeah.
So Firestorm Games is Welsh Championships. Tabletop Republic is No Numbers gig, and he's just moved his shop, or is in the process of moving his shop into a bigger venue, I believe, in a slightly better location for him, about 5 minutes further away than it was. It's just an extra 5-minute walk. So yeah,
that's all right, isn't it?
It's good. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the tabletop event that I played in. So I did a double day one, but you did a one dayer, didn't you?
Yeah. Speeding Bullet runs a tournament called Star, and now I can't remember how many he's run, but we'll say we're on the 8th or 9th version of it, shall we say? And he's traditionally run it at, for anyone that knows the sort of Shropshire area, there's a place called Ironbridge, which is near Telford, which is quite famous, and there's a village hall near there, and he's usually run it there. And this year he decided he was going to move it into Shrewsbury and run it at a games cafe called Nerdy. And
very nice, very nice.
I think it's brilliant, mate. They've got a sort of food area there. They put breakfast on for everybody. They put some dinner on. You know, obviously you had to pay for it, but everything. So the venue was excellent. The rule set's always sort of pretty similar. It's sort of a 1200 build, which you take skills out of as well, with the limitation that those skills are one a player, and they are primary skills, and you can't have any more than 4. The same thing. And then you get a sort of one player that you can upgrade to your star player, and that player can effectively take, either sort of two primaries and a secondary, or they can take, some kind of stat boost with less skills. It can maybe take a strength and a primary, or an edge and a secondary, or something. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
We had some good coaches in attendance. K-Folk was there, packing roller dwarfs. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Spleggy was there. He's won quite a few tournaments recently. Barney came down with K-Folk. Decent.
Lovely.
Decent crew. I played game 1. Oh, sorry, I took Undead just because I decided I wanted to play Undead. What did I do? I think there was guard on the mummies and the whites. I had enough left over to block a couple of zombies, which was quite useful. I think I took a couple of wrestle ghouls, and then I took a block ghoul. And then did I make my ghoul the star?
I think from memory when we were discussing, I think you made the ghoul the star.
I think he had sure hands and block, and what else I gave him. Whatever I gave him was wrong, because Barney did it better, because Barney gave his ghouls break tackle.
Oh, genius move.
Yeah, which just obviously ups that dodge to a 2+.
Why have agility 2+ when all you're going to be doing is needing it for the dodge? So just take the break tackle.
That's it, isn't it? That's it. It went all right. I played Lemmywinks in round 1. Lemmywinks, listeners remember, was the highest touchdown scorer at UKTC, and plays locally to us. He was using dwarves.
Was he also highest touchdown scorer at this tournament?
Yes, he was. Yes.
Fantastic, well done.
But I drove first. I think he put me into bat. His roster with dwarfs, he didn't take a roller. It's funny with dwarfs because you've got so much gold left over in the 1200. It's like, what do you do? So he basically skilled everything. And 4 of his dwarfs had got guard. And then he gave 4 of them mighty blow because why not? And the runners had both got block. And then he stopped. The star players can break the 4 skill rule, so I think the star player probably had guard and mighty blow.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so I mean, my drive was fairly straightforward. I think one casualty each, 1 KO each, but his was saved by the thick skull. So fairly straightforward. I think towards turn 6 or 7, he did get a 1 dice block on my ball carrier, but it was a blodger, so it was fine. And in the end, it ran into score. At half time, he declared his dice were awful.
Oh, and so he won the game?
And then he put his dice away and got out a whole load of new dice. And then he started to drive. On turn 2, I had a 1 dice on the ball with my wrestle ghoul.
Oh, nice.
Reroll skull.
Oh.
That's the other skill that I'd given that star player goal. I'd given it leader because I only had space for the 2 rerolls. There you go. It was block.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, block leader.
I rolled skull, reroll skull, and then the next turn I had a 1 dice on his ball carrier, and I rolled block. I rolled skull, reroll both down, but that wasn't a wrestle goal, so that just bounced off. The new dice did really very well, and so by the midpoint of the half, I really didn't have a lot of a team left. A lot of my team had been removed. Everything was lying down. We looked at each other. I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And he said, "Well, I'm happy to play out a draw." So that's kind of what he did, sort of thing. Like it was in his power because he could go in and see if I got the KOs back, but I couldn't really stop him scoring. I had plus double go for it attempt with the zombie, but that failed. He scored on turn 8. We drew 1-1. So there we go. Then I played. I'm going to forget this person's name, so I'm going to look it up while I'm talking. Then I played against a lizard build with double guard, actually, 2 guard lizard, 2 guard saurus, and a load of other stuff, including an edge skink.
Very nice.
Yeah, he got himself in a bit of. Did I get a blitz? I might have had a blitz actually, and then he was just in a bit of trouble on the drive, and it all ended up with me kind of all over his cage, and he's failed something critical. The Agi Skinks got hit and left the pitch. The ball's bobbled around. I picked it up. He's managed to knock me over. Gaff, that was the gentleman's name. He's managed to knock me over. I managed to pick it up again, and effectively I go in 1-0 on his drive. My drive, get the ball. Look like sort of set up, kind of like I'm maybe going to go right. He kind of takes the bait a bit and puts everything in the way. So I just run left and just run in and score really on about turn 4. I'm not messing. It's 2-0 now. So that's that.
Yep.
Actually, I don't know whether maybe it was a bit hasty because then he manages to score back in 2. He sort of just gets the ball, legs it down the left side. I pile some people in, and he needs a 2 dice uphill with his skink, followed by a 3+ dodge, which he makes. Then he's got 2 turns left. And was it a NAFS? Was it UKTC where you played? The other chap that sounds really posh, but he's not British. Is he Swedish? Swedish guy. I can't think of his name now.
We did play some Swedes at UKTC, I think. Yeah.
Who did you play UKTC? And you ended up in a situation where was he kind of winning, but he ended up, the ball ended up kind of on his end zone, and you'd scored quickly to make it 2-1, and then he didn't really want to pick it up.
Hargrim.
That's it. Norwegian, is he? Norwegian, yeah. It was kind of, we got into that sort of situation where I was just kind of had the ball and was running backwards and just trying to stop him.
Very good.
He ended up needing like a 6+ dodge with a Saurus or something, which failed. So, we survived that. So that was a 2-1 win.
Nice.
and I played against Alspunio.
Oh, lovely. I know the name.
I'm second at NAFC.
Yeah, very good.
But this time he was using Orcs. And I don't know whether he's traumatised by losing the NAF final to Orcs. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those really where his drive didn't really go anywhere. Like he couldn't. I got a bit ahead in the blocking battle, and therefore he couldn't really create space to move a cage forward or anything, and too much stuff was getting knocked down. And obviously, Orcs, you knock it down and then you follow it up. And he was kind of joking about like how good my block dice were. But after about 4 turns, he declared his dice were rubbish, and he put all his dice new ones. And then he started to get a few armor breaks, and so then we're stuck with this weird situation where he's telling me that my and we're laughing about it. It's we're having a great laugh about it. He's telling me my block dice are amazing, and I'm telling him his and he picks up my block dice to use them and immediately knocks something over. I pick up his D6s and immediately cast something.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
We just kind of laugh about it. His drive never really goes anywhere. I think I even then managed to knock the Goblin down on turn 7, so he hasn't even got the throw teammate play. So that's 0-0. At half time, I then drive. More of my stuff leaves the field. Some of his stuff leaves the field. I'm sort of all cut up in a cage. I have to dodge away from tackle with a Gould. If I make double go for it, I think I'm pretty much going to score. I fail a snake the first go for it.
Ooh.
There's a slight dangerous situation where he manages to in a fit of kind of adrenaline, I suppose, he ran over, picked the ball up. He declared a pass action, ran over, picked the ball up, moved, tried to hand off, and I was like, no, you declared a pass action. Like, we're doing the pass, yeah? And you've rolled dice now. But he's already kind of rolled the dice for the handoff at this point, and so we're into this kind of weird scenario where I think he's just got overexcited, really. I don't think there's any desire to sort of cheat, so we have to just kind of roll it back a bit. I think we even forget animosity in the end, but he managed to get the ball to his Goblin and run it over to where his troll is, ready to try and chuck it the next turn. But I'm able to go and knock the Goblin over again. So it just peters out into a 0-0 draw. And so I finished the tournament on a 1-2-0 with Undead, which I was quite happy with because it's the first time I've played Undead in about 5 years. So just to a tournament and not lose was and play some decent people as well was was decent.
Very good.
But I've got a new thing now added to my list of pet peeves, along with people that drop, look at the dice, drop them in the cup, roll the wrist round, look in the cup, and then turn it over. I've now got the pet peeve of people that swap their dice halfway through a game. I'm going to be banning that one when I when I sit down at my next tabletop.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then so for you then, the next piece of tabletop was actually we didn't play, did you?
No, I didn't play. No, Andy Davo approached me and Duderino and said, would we help him run a tournament? Duderino and I said, yes, of course, we'd help you run a tournament. Davo, you do these bits, we'll do these bits. As I referred to it, Davo's the face, Duderino is the voice, and I'm the brain. And so we ran a tournament. It was called the Davotational, because Davo is the face. Okay. Duderino was the megaphone, so during the day, Duderino would call out who was playing who, various things, announcements and whatever. And I sat behind the computer and ran score. Happened at Boards and Swords in Derby. Wonderful venue, lovely guys there, really good. If you ever get the chance to visit Boards and Swords in Derby, that was absolutely fantastic. The guys even came over to me a couple of times and said how well the tournament was running and stuff and how impressed they were, which was very kind of them, given the fact it was my first crack, yeah. So it was the EuroBowl rule set, and basically it was an interesting one because Andy Davo's big in the tabletop world, but he's also big on the Twitch streaming world of Blood Bowl 2. So if I'm just read you some of the names that appeared, we've got people like Kay Fogg was there, Joe Manji, Pete W, Purple Goo, The Rake, that Asian guy, Gav Coleman, Davo himself was there, obviously, Thomas W, Falling Down Joe, Raging 82, Thor was there. I'm reading these names off. You know who these people are, right? These are tabletop. Glowworms there. these are
well known in the circuit. Well known in the circuit.
Yeah, exactly. These are your tabletop players, well known in the tabletop world. But likewise, if I read you the following names, you may not know who they are, but people in the Twitch community would know who, certainly Davo's community would know who Seriously I'm a Giraffe is, Misspelled Tree, Tom with an H, L Plate Gamer, Shirato, Day Day, Dizzy Bess, Dimmy G, people like that. You may not know those names, but those are...
I know some of those names.
Yeah.
I mean, Dizzy Bess.
Yeah, Dizzy Bess has played some tabletop now. She's
Misspelled Tree and one of the others. Don't they have their own podcast?
They have their Hey Listen podcast. We'll do a shout out to the Hey Listen podcast. Yeah, it's Seriously I'm a Giraffe. She's in that one, and Cauliflower who also played. Yeah, Cauliflower who also played is on that. So there's a bunch of names there that may not leap out if you're a sole tabletop player. But if you're involved in the Twitch community, those are some big names there. And it was lovely. It was a really nice merging of almost like two worlds coming together. And a lot of people were playing their first ever tabletop tournament, or some limited numbers of tabletop games. But they were good players. So I think the Twitch community did themselves proud.
Wasn't Misspelled Tree? Didn't she beat Joe Manji and end up on table 1 at the end of?
Yes, Misspelled Tree did beat Joe Manji. Yes, and was leading after day 1. Yeah,
which is that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's the Twitch community can't do any better for itself than to be leading after day 1, can they?
No.
With one of the players beating one of the most famous tabletop players.
Exactly, but luckily for the tabletop side, the top 4 players are Pete W, K Fogs, Joe Manji, and Purple Goo. So for Team England, they were pretty happy with that one, I think.
The Team England just started to sort it out on day 2, did they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, shout out to that Asian guy, one of the Welsh guys. Finished with Old World Alliance. Finished top 10 with Old World Alliance, and was right up there in the mix. At the end, he was on table 2. With Old World Alliance. So, really good fun. Enjoyed it a lot. We will be running another one next year, the Davotational 2. I again will be the brain. Duderino again will be the voice. Davo will again be the face. And information about that will be coming imminently. Very, very, very soon.
Ooh. I might see if I can come.
So, yes, please do. It's going to be bigger and better than this year that we've just had, this year. I learnt a lot, had some really good conversations with people. Overall, I would say that I'm about 80 to 85% happy with how it went, which, given the fact it was my first one and there were 60-odd people there, it wasn't like a small local thing, 3-game. It was 6 games with some big names there as well. I was pleased with how it went, but I'm looking for a big improvement and to try and make it 98, 99% good for the next one. So yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
No, so it was good fun. Right, I think that's enough of that, Fear. I think it's time for us to delve into a completely unscripted, unplanned. I don't even know how we're going to go through this really. We're going to enter a bit of the rabbit warren. That is EuroBowl and EuroOpen.
Yeah. Well, should we give a bit of, because I think it's quite natural for people usually start playing tabletop Blood Bowl, with their friends, or maybe a local league, or maybe over the dining room table, and then maybe discover tournaments from there, perhaps a bit later on. And I think, we've seen some people from the Twitch community, haven't we, in Blood Bowl 2, and occasionally from Fun Bowl as well, who sort of discover tournaments from there. And I suppose there's a kind of process where you work through discovering all the tournaments in your local area, and then you probably realise that there are national ones. There's, for those that don't know, there's kind of 4. Well, I think there's 5 now majors worldwide. So there's NAFC, which is in Nottingham every year, which has replaced the Blood Bowl, which is sort of talked about obviously in the fluff of the game, and there's the Dungeon Bowl, which I think is in Dusseldorf every year, and then in North America they have the Chaos Cup in Chicago, I think, and the Spike Cup is in Canada, I believe. And then I think they've also now have one recognised in Australia. Is it the Eucalyptus Bowl?
Oh yeah, yep. I played on the online version of that. Yep.
Yeah, so you have sort of 5 major, and these are singles tournaments. And then alongside that, if you're starting to look at kind of international Blood Bowl, in North America, they have one called the Oracle Cup, which is a team tournament. I think, I'm not sure if it's 4 or 6 players. I'm not sure. And in Europe, we have EuroBowl.
Indeed.
Now, EuroBowl has, I believe, been running since about 2003. And as I understand it, started in Amsterdam, which I'm told is the sort of spiritual home of continental Blood Bowl. Apparently, it was run in a bar called Legends, which is legendary, apparently. And it sort of started as a kind of the Dutch and the Belgians maybe kind of having a bit of let's have a European tournament. And so the French and the Germans, obviously fairly easy for them to get there, and 1 or 2 others. I don't know that anyone from Britain really knew about it. 2003, for those of us that are a bit older, cast your mind back. The internet wasn't quite what it was. There wasn't really social media.
There was also
that kind of stuff. So
03 is also England winning the Rugby World Cup as well, isn't it? So that's probably probably a bit distracted on that as well.
Yeah, but it's grown from there, right? And in the first one, there was an odd number of teams. So the French sent 2, and the French B team won.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then England turn up in 2004 and win it, and then it comes to England, and weirdly was held in Shrewsbury, and that's sort of 2005, and so now it runs 3 years out of every 4, with the 4th year being the World Cup. Yeah, since about 2000 and I think 10, 11, 12, sometime around there, they start to get the idea that actually, well, I think the Shrewsbury one actually did have an ancillary tournament attached to it. Somebody tried to run a EuroOpen kind of thing, but only 3 people turned up. So since about 2010 or 11, EuroOpen's been run alongside EuroBowl as a sort of it was a singles tournament to start with, and then it gradually has developed into a 4-player tournament. And I think it's been written into the charter that from about 2012 that you can't have a purely, or you shouldn't have a purely invitational NAF tournament. You have to have an open section alongside it. So what we now have is a situation where 3 years out of 4, Blood Bowl players from across Europe gather, and one side of that tournament, the Euro Bowl, is an international tournament played by teams of 8 players, with all using different races, who are selected to represent their country. So you have a Welsh team and a Scottish team and an English team and a French team and an Italian team and a Belgian team and a Polish team, and you can run through the list, I suppose. And then alongside that, there is a tournament called EuroOpen, which uses the same rule set and is effectively, first come, first served. The first teams, they get their name down, get in, and they're 4-player teams. What's happened in the last couple of years, or certainly this year, is there's been an option for nations to put in a 4-player team as an official, like Team Wales, Team England, into the EuroOpen competition. Yeah. And I think that's, for anyone that doesn't sort of know about it, that kind of takes us to where we are now. I think the Italians have won it a couple of times. The French have won it a couple of times. Perhaps the Germans have won it. But England have won the last 5 in a row, and indeed have won 7 in total. And we are on the 14th version of the tournament. The first version of the tournament started using Living Rulebook 4, So it's survived through Living Rulebook 5, Living Rulebook 6. And what was the next one? The CPR, and then the move to Blood Bowl 2016, and now this is the first tournament to be held using the Blood Bowl 2020 rule.
Indeed, I do find it humorous that you called CRP CPR because CPR,
did I? Sorry, yeah.
CPR might be what we need to have happen to some areas of the current rule set that we've got to bring it back to life. Anyway, that's just a little joke there. But thanks for that introduction to the tournament. What a great overview, Fear. That was absolutely wonderful, and I'm excited. I am so excited.
What are you excited for, Cowboy? What are you most looking forward to?
I'm most looking forward to sitting down. So I've been lucky enough, and it is lucky enough, to be involved in Tackle Zone Star Divisions on Blood Bowl 2 and on Fumble every season. I've played in every season of TSD that there has been. There's probably a fair number of coaches that can also say the same thing. But maybe, to have played in all of the Fumble ones as well as all of the Blood Bowl 2 ones, you might be starting to get lower numbers. But I've never been able to sit down at a tournament of that caliber. Obviously, UKTC, really big tournament. NAF Champs, really big tournament. But to be able to walk into something like EuroBowl and sit down and play versus the caliber of player that I'm used to playing against online in those settings, but play face to face with them, that's what I'm looking forward to. And it's a little challenge to myself. Can I perform at the level that I'm proving that I can on Fumble, and I have done on Blood Bowl 2? Can I do that same thing on tabletop? Because I haven't, aside from a handful of coaches, and there's absolutely no disrespect to any of the coaches that I've played against, but I've played against Purple Goo and Podfree, and they're going to EuroBowl. But your average tabletop tournament, unless you're getting those kind of draws regularly, unless you're turning up at Water Bowl and playing all of Team England in 6 games, you're playing the 6 of the 8 Team England guys, or Team Wales guys, or whoever. In those games, we're just not exposed to the Italians and the French and and all these other countries. You just don't get a chance to play versus these people at our kind of local tabletop events. So that's exciting for me. That's exciting.
I think that's really interesting. It's probably a point worth making that it's sort of been said to me that when EuroBowl started, it was very much who's got a passport, who can travel. Whereas with this point, sort of getting on for 20 years later, because next year will be 20 years since it started, you are, almost I think every country taking part has some kind of selection criteria. They have more players than they need to fill the 8 spots. And so the people that you are playing against, whether they are from Italy or France or England, or some of the lesser known sort of Blood Bowl nations, a Greece or a Poland or a Malta or something like that, they've been selected.
Yeah, they've gone through a selection process. Yeah. You are not just playing the 8 people that happened to be available on that day and had a passport and could get there. You are playing versus someone who's had to go through some sort of selection process.
Yeah, absolutely, and for most of them, there's some thought gone into that, and it doesn't matter whether it's a sort of an English system where there is a captain voted for who then picks the 7 who as far as they're concerned the 7 best players, or whether it's a sort of Welsh system that works more on sort of previous EuroBowl performances, previous tournament performances the year before, maybe a bit more scientific in that respect, and then maybe in a couple of wildcard spots, or how you pick it. Really, it's very much there was criteria to hit. Everyone that going can play Blood Bowl. There's no one that know roughly what they're doing to a lesser or greater degree, obviously.
Yeah,
but
for sure. for sure. Yeah.
Definitely not going to be like playing in your local league, with the greatest respect to all the local Blood Bowl
Yeah,
players.
and you know, Euro Bowl itself. Okay, you're peppered with high quality coaches in Euro Bowl, but in Euro Open, you know, the fact that you've got official teams who are sending, your England EuroOpen team are all people that could win NAF tournaments or have won NAF tournaments, right? In the
Yeah.
UK, and have performed well in tournaments such as Tackle Zone Star Divisions, or you know could go far in big events. You know, have done well in NAF style tournaments on Fumble, for example. You know, and it's like so even though anyone can enter Euro Open, there is also a really high level of opposition going to be present in the Open tournament, you know. And at the end of the day, for example, we all know that France and Italy have huge strength in depth, right? And England have huge strength in depth as well, through sheer numbers of people that are playing. And you know, France could easily have four teams of four in the Euro Open, who all those players on a different day could have been selected for the French team in EuroBowl. You know,
Oh
so
yeah, I mean,
there is going to be some tough opposition in that Euro Open as well.
yeah, I mean, I think by its very nature, obviously, the European is more open, and there is more variety in the coaches that are going to be that are going, and that's really exciting because actually, yeah, to a certain extent, the pressure's off a little bit. I don't think people are as concerned about who wins European as they perhaps are about who wins EuroBowl. So yeah, it'd be interesting to meet different people, see people's different play styles, see some interesting rosters, I think, at
Yeah,
points.
yeah, definitely.
But I mean, if you're looking at who might win that, I mean, Team France haven't put in an official EuroPen team because I think there's two or three French teams going that are on paper just, you know, um, well, two of them could easily be the French EuroBowl team. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, unbelievable.
Socks are very well known, and Team Korkapau are very well known, and that'll be interesting. Team Italy. I mean, Team Italy have Diomlord in the European team, who is one of the who's got the highest win rating of any Italian coach, and they have Java, who was the longest running NAF champ of all time, helped by COVID, of course. And Owen 86, who I played at UKTC, is like a 240 ranked Lizard coach. You know, so incredibly strong European
Yeah,
team.
scary stuff. Yeah, no.
So that'll be interesting. I sort of hope to avoid them until day two, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it'll be. It's a really interesting thing.
Yeah. I also think we can touch on that. So I'm just looking at Mike Davies. Absolute shout out to Mike Davies. San
what a champ.
0638. Amazing human being. Has created an amazing site. I'm using the word amazing a lot because that's simply what it is. It's breathtaking, really. He's got people's rosters, and then he's got various stats, and it's all on spreadsheet kind of style. It's absolutely lovely. But we've got the breakdown of races for EuroBowl. That I'm looking at right now, and I think this is the marked difference between EuroBowl and EuroOpen, is that there is, we've got out of the 20 odd teams, 24 teams or something like that, that kind of mark. We've got 19 undead teams included in that. We've got 19 orc teams, 18 lizardman teams, 17 dark elves, 15 high elves, strong in the meta of course, 13 dwarves, 12 wood elves, 12 amazons, and then 11 skaven and 11 chaos dwarf. Those are all big, powerful, high win rate races, and that they're not your halflings and your goblins and your snotlings and stuff, are they? They are very much the classical power races that you would expect to see in Blood Bowl 2016 rule set. We've had discussions about how the meta's changed. People have, there was all that debacle about the rules are changing. This team's dead. This team's not dead. Oh, blah blah blah. But you look at that list of teams there, those races there, and that screams competitive and wanting to do well. And then as you go down the list, you start
Well,
getting some Underworld, some Necro, some Humans, some Tomb Kings, and they kind of maybe fit well in the meta. And right at the bottom, you've got one Vampire team, one Imperial Nobility team, one Halfling team, and one Black Orc team. But there's no goblins in there. There's no snotlings.
no, no.
It's a very much we think these races are competitive. We want to do well with with these races. Not saying that France bringing a halfling team isn't terrifying, because that team is in the hands of a good coach. Halflings can be really scary, but whereas maybe in EuroOpen you might see teams of oh, we're just the guys who brought our stunty teams. We've got an ogre team, a goblin team, a halfling team, and a snotling team. And we're just here to have some fun and see if we can be the team that gets most battered over the weekend. Kind of fun. You've got that side of it. EuroBowl is very much that. Let's take it kind of seriously.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think in EuroBowl, if somebody's taking something slightly out of left field, like Matty 8 for Team Italy, I think is taking a Morgue Underworld build, which isn't one we've seen a lot of, I don't think. Or, yeah, you're right. In Team France, they're taking a Halfling team. You kind of think they've seen something, or they're thinking something. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a reason for it. EuroOpen, by its very nature, is more open, and just like people turn up at UKTC with, the stunty team, where all four of them are taking one of the stunty races. Yeah, you kind of expect to see that stuff.
A bit of thematic, a bit of the old. We've brought all four elven races.
And despite the fact that one's an 8-player tournament, one's a 4-player tournament, there are a lot more teams in EuroOpen. So actually, there's more. I mean, there's in total there are 232 coaches listed on mics against 190 something. So there's sort of 30 to 40 more teams, and because of that, you get 3 snotling teams, you get 4 goblin teams, you get 5 ogre teams that have been taken. There's 5 halflings instead of 1. But still at the top of it, arguably, lizards with 22.
Yeah.
There's 18 high elf teams, which people feel are strong in the meta. There's 16 necromantic teams. Now, we've seen in TSD that necromantic can do very well in the format. I think probably a bit of a win or loss team. I don't think they're great at drawing, which is probably why you're seeing less in the EuroBowl, I suppose. But then Dark Elves, Shambling Undead, Orcs, Skaven, Underworld, Dwarf, Wood Elf, Human. The top pick races actually probably still are the stronger ones, but there is just more of a spread across the board where I think people are more inclined to go, right, well, we'll come and have fun and probably drink a lot of beer and so on and so forth, and have a bit of a holiday in Malta. So, yeah, by its nature, it's probably slightly less.
Yeah, for sure.
Competitive, shall we say?
Yeah. But I mean, and I think that I'm excited as well, because I think you and I are going to, when we come back and do the podcast, we've already mentioned that we to each other that we'll do a nice double episode, a bit like our UKTC double episode kind of thing, because we're just going to have so much to get through. And I'm looking forward to hearing what our experiences will be, because we're both going to enjoy it for certain. But we're going to have those. We're going to have I believe that we'll have a slightly different feel. We'll have gone to the same place, but we may well end up with a different kind of vibe from the two things. You may. I'm hoping that you guys are going to be super competitive and end up at the top end of the top end of the EuroOpen side of things. I'd love to see you guys competing up at the top tables towards the end of the tournament. but yeah, it will be interesting to hear, as you said, people, are you going to be sat next to the guys whose their main goal for the weekend is just to play as much as they can, and every time they roll a double sculls, they're doing a shot of whatever the national drink is that they've brought with them. It's going to be. I can get that feeling. Whereas one would imagine that at the in the Euro Bowl itself, we'll probably be sat next to a team that are trying to not only beat the people in front of us, in front of them, but are also competing against the us, because we're on the next table. They'll be like, right, well, if we can beat the people in front of us, we'll overtake these guys who are sat next to us, kind of thing. You know? There's a bit more, just that more competitive edge, isn't there? So yeah, I'm just getting excited, man. I'm just getting really, really excited.
I don't know to what extent, I haven't looked into it enough, to what extent the rooms are mixed or separated, whether we're going to be kept away from you guys or whether we'll be intermingling a little bit or whatever. But I suspect a little bit's like something like UKTC. EuroOpen will kind of end up as being sort of two tournaments, really. There'll be those that to try and win, and those that are there to probably still wouldn't mind if they won, but are more inclined to have a really good time.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And do you know what? Both are completely legitimate ways to enjoy your Blood Bowl. It is, after all, pushing, as my wife describes it, pushing little men around a board and getting far too excited about some dice rolls. So if people are there to have a very good time, fair play to them. But then Euro Bowl, I suspect, is, you're right. I mean, it's not two tournaments, is it? It's a tournament where everyone's there, everyone's been selected, everyone's trying to do their best to represent their nation.
Yeah, and even your teams like let's your Greece, your Malta, maybe the USA have brought a team in as well. Fantastic, like teams like that where maybe they don't have the for want of a better word, maybe they don't have the Blood Bowl history or pedigree, as it were. Like there's not those famous, as it were, within the community players where you can go, there's your Gegster, there's your Purple Goo, there's your K Fogs, where it's even those guys there, they're gonna be fighting to make sure that they are as high up on the final standings as they can be. The goal of those guys may not be to win the tournament in a realistic sense, but they will want to be as high up that leaderboard as they can. Well,
one of the things that's happened is that I think originally, if you won it, you got the choice to host it, a bit like Eurovision. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah.
But in the first couple of years, Italy won it a couple of times, and I think they were kind of offered the chance to host it for a third time and didn't want to. So they introduced this idea that the highest placed nation that hasn't previously hosted EuroBowl,
they get first refusal on it or something?
They get first refusal, I think, on... Now, I don't know whether that will continue because obviously there's been a global pandemic and I don't know.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But what you've got to look at is, right, you've got teams in here that are... So we could run down the EuroBowl list, can't we? So there's a Corsairs team, okay?
Yeah.
You've got a team from the Czech Republic. They've never hosted EuroBowl. Those guys might be thinking to themselves, well, if we can do well here, we can host, There's a team there from Denmark. We'll get onto them, I'm sure, in a bit, who obviously will be, hoping to do well. I don't think Poland have hosted EuroBowl.
They were due to host.
That's right. They were due to host, but weren't able to. So I don't know how that. I presume they could go back in the hat.
Yeah. We've got Austria, Belgium as well. You've missed the first two off the thing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you were going alphabetically. Yeah, you've got Austria and Belgium as well. I don't know if Finland have hosted.
I think Austria have hosted.
Oh, they have hosted, have they? Okay, all right. Yeah. I tell you the other thing I'm very excited about. I don't know whether he listens to the podcast, but Juanchi on Team Austria is one of my oldest Blood Bowl friends. We played each other back in one of my first ever leagues on Blood Bowl 2, and I'm going to meet him for the first time properly.
That's amazing
in EuroBowl. So that's really nice. That's a friendship that has kind of trickled along like a little stream, as it were, for the last 7 years, I think now. Yeah. And it's great to be able to meet someone in real life. But there's a bunch of teams in there.
Greeks, the Hungarians, the Irish, Scottish. Scotland have never hosted it. So some of the teams that perhaps maybe will need to have a very good weekend to win the tournament.
Yeah.
Maybe by kind of player reputation or whatever. Maybe looking at that, maybe saying, right, well, actually, we know the Scottish want to host it, and we know, I don't know, maybe we know the Irish want to host it, and so those two teams will be battling away with each other all weekend.
Yeah. To see if they get one up over each other in terms of the hosting rights. Yeah. No,
and then even away from that, you've got sort of, you've got sort of little battles. You might naturally say, well, okay, I don't know what England, France, and Italy, and maybe Spain have got sort of the biggest player pools. So you sort of perhaps expect them to do well. Maybe Germany as well. But actually, Wales were third last time, were they? Or that? So
I can't. I wasn't.
yeah. I mean, did very, very well. Obviously, the Danish have got a very fine Blood Bowl pedigree. There's teams here that there's a very heavily contested upper middle table.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's, you can dive into that, can't you? And I'm sure once I think the first round draw has been made. We know which nation is playing which nation, don't we? But
we do. Yeah. Let's dip into that. I think what I'll say now as well is that obviously we don't. We could very easily sit here for 6 hours and go through every single roster, every single race and stuff. But we're not going to be doing that. But I would really recommend if you're interested, there is a I can probably I'll attach the link onto the YouTube video. I'll attach in the description. I'll attach the link to this Tableau site. But if you're a Discord user, the information is on the official Discord. If not, I don't know if it's on the EuroBowl website. I'll have a look while we yeah, I'll have a look and see if it's on the EuroBowl website as well. Because if you are interested in looking at what people have taken from rosters, if that's something that interests you, both the Fear and I are lucky enough with the Tackle Zone Star Divisions being EuroBowl rule set, and we've both been to quite a few tournaments that have had EuroBowl rule sets or similar to, so we're quite aware of the meta and stuff. But there is some interesting quirky stuff, but there's just too much to go through for a podcast, unfortunately. But I'll have a look. If you want to talk about the next bit while I go and see if it's actually on the EuroBowl website.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think whether it is actually or not.
I'll have a dig around.
The rules are certainly on there, and for anyone that's not encountered them, it's a 1.15 build cost, so 1,150,000 gold coins. It's a tiered system, so the teams that are perceived to be stronger in that kind of format get a few less, because 6 skills, and as you work your way down, I think the stunties are getting 8 or 9 skills by the end. Teams can sacrifice skills for access to star players. So usually I think you're sacrificing a couple of skills for the opportunity to pick a star player. Some of the star players, I think particularly Morg and Hackflem, Creek, maybe Griff, require additional skills to be sacrificed. So that you're really paying quite a high penalty to take a star player. Actually,
no. So so I've looked on the website. Unfortunately, there isn't a link to it there yet. That's not to say there won't be shortly. But there is a link to the Discord. So if anyone's interested in finding that Discord, do look at that. I've pulled up the draw for the Euro Bowl.
Go on then.
So shall I read through that? We could talk about that quickly, and then we can look at your first round match, because otherwise, as a same thing. When you've got so many teams in a tournament,
we'll be all night looking at you.
We could be here for days.
We can pick out a couple of names, mate.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so for EuroBowl, Sweden get England in round 1. That's an interesting match there. I think England probably have that one, but it's an interesting It's
I think
probably the
it's
kind of
interesting.
level you want to start with if you're England. You don't want a soft round one, do you? You want games that are going to challenge you.
Yeah, I mean, there's people in here that I know from Team Sweden. You know, Oberwald, Ost, Skuld. These are
Yep.
people I know.
Yep.
Like some sensible race choices. Chaos Chosen being a bit of an outlier, but I'm sure there's a plan behind that.
Yep.
The thing with Team England, I think we kind of just got to. I don't think there's any getting away from the fact that probably on paper, you know, they probably have to concede that maybe alongside Team Italy, they're probably the favourites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Won 5 in a row. 6 of their 8 team members, I think, are ranked with a race, not necessarily the one they're taking to EuroBowl, but ranked with a race in the top 50. So on page 1 of the NAF rankings. And I think the 2 players that aren't have played in, you know, every single EuroBowl that England have attended.
Yeah.
And so
There is
won,
there is a history and
and
an
then so have won.
expectation there.
Yeah, they've won 7 EuroBowls, which is more than all the other countries combined.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
for those 2 players. So I think, you know, from that aspect, actually, there's a lot of experience. They always hand out 1 new cap. Whatever people think about it, you know, Core, our friend who has played for Denmark before, has lived in England for many, many years, and sort of didn't want to play for Denmark anymore. Didn't feel he's originally from Denmark. Didn't feel part of that community, and has been allowed to put his hand up for Team England. And obviously, you know, bringing him in, obviously makes sense. You know, bringing in the world number 1 doesn't make your team any weaker, right?
No, very, very good choice. Yep.
You know, and Purple Goo being ranked number 2, I think, and Podfree returning to the team after, you know, missing a couple of EuroBowls, I think, is ranked both 3rd and 4th in the world. And the player pool is crazy because, you know, Don Vito, unfortunately, who was picked, was unfortunately unable to go, and they end up replacing him with Pipey, who runs, you know, UKTC and has won 5 EuroBowls himself, and, you know,
it's phenomenal, isn't it? So yeah, so England probably have that one. Then we get Portugal versus Finland. That's probably quite a close one. 2 teams I don't know much about, so that's a nice one there. So that could be there could be some scraps going on. You know, there's already a round 1 where both will be going, yeah, let's get our teeth into that. Italy versus Greece. I think that's might be a bit of a shock to the system for the Greeks, but hopefully they can step up and do something there. You know.
You know, let's while we're talking about this, let's give a brief shout out to Team Greece, because C Dasak, Iravel, Shoal, Vradipus, and Stapadias have all played in TSD.
Oh, fantastic!
In fact, I forget, it was Optimus Prime in TSD this year, or was he in Super League, or was he in both, maybe? So, yeah, these guys have been going out there trying to get top level experience,
exposure, yeah, and they're wanting the thing, and it's great that you're saying to them, yes, look, you've been selected for your nation, come and play.
Yeah. And certainly CD Dasak is, I think, pretty highly regarded, certainly on Funball, as being a very, very good coach. So they've got a sort of potentially sort of standout player that can probably do well for them.
Yeah, very good.
Italy, obviously, look, you know, they're
exactly, you know,
they're the favourites, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. Malta, Hungary, that's another nice little scrap there. Hopefully the hosts will be able to start their tournament off well. But it's nice to see, you know, again, we got these, you know, it'll be interesting to see the shakedown after day 1, see where teams are kind of sitting, isn't it?
I've got no idea about either of those teams.
No. Then the match which I'm most invested in, it's Denmark-Wales, which is a juicy round 1 for Wales and Denmark. Both teams probably feeling confident. I know the Welsh certainly are. You know, we're feeling that we can win that one. But it's going to be it's not easy at all. You know, I'm saying this because I know Triple Skull listens to the podcast. So go Wales, down Denmark. Woo, let's go. Cool, Wales.
I think. outside of the two teams, obviously, I mean, I think for most other people, this is probably the tie of the round.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's some really interesting potential racial matchups. I think all of the players, are sort of known and strong. Obviously, Denmark having, K-Ferg having switched allegiances to England, they've managed to pick up. I don't know if he's in as a ringer or if he's officially becoming Danish or what the situation is, but Justicium, who formerly of Team France and one of the members of Amicale de Push Push.
I know. I really wish I could say never heard of him, mate. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I have.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a World Cup winning.
He's a phenomenal. I remember playing Justicium in a tournament once, and yeah, it was another.
That doesn't make them any worse, does it?
No. Swapping core out with Justicium is not that big of a step, is it?
No.
You're definitely on the same staircase there,
Yeah. So he's amongst them. I mean, you only have to look at what other top coaches say.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, yeah. Then we got Belgium.
From an outsider's perspective, mate, I could see it going both ways.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But Wales to win. Belgium versus France. I think France probably fancying themselves in that one. Ireland versus Spain. An interesting one there. Spain got a lot of depth. Probably a good kind of level in the same kind of way probably that England are looking at Sweden going, yep, that's one where we have to be switched on. I would like to think that Spain are looking at that Ireland team going, yep, we can do this, but we need to be switched on. So probably a good first round matchup there. I'd like to see Ireland get some do some damage there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Irish have got some players I think that we know in there. I think I know Gorgoroth's playing, I think, isn't he?
Yep, and Raging.
And Raging 82 is playing.
And there's he's got a different naff name, but there's a guy called Broadsword Wargaming who's a big YouTuber. So if you're interested in your miniature painting and kind of design and 40k and Warhammer and stuff, do check out Broadsword Wargaming. He'll be out there with Team Ireland.
But look, Team Spain. I mean, Team Spain beat with the team that beat Team England last time, and it's one of only two occasions where Team England, when nobody's won a game.
Ooh,
I think that
okay.
Two. So people like Shurikov ranked very highly. Varag, top Kaz at UKTC. Zaro, I've played. Fripper K is definitely on the top 50. NAF coaches. Duke Luther von Hawkfire is definitely up there. Dom Pimpon, who's one of the coaches that's opted for Slan, is one of the most highly ranked Slan coaches in the world, and Slan could be very interesting in the meta. Really interesting one about Dom Pimpon. He played Gegster at EuroBowl in Cardiff, and Wolfen told a little story about how Dom Pimpon as a child at a EuroBowl in Spain had effectively asked Gegster for his autograph. And then I think it was Gegster's 1000th NAF game. It was against Dom Pimpon, EuroBowl in Cardiff. They were 1-1 draw, I think, Amazons versus Wood Elves. But yeah, so Team Spain, just very quietly, have got a very strong team on paper. And
for sure.
If England and Italy are spending too much time looking at each other, as probably joint favourites, you've got to think the Spanish have got an interesting opportunity. Yeah. Very, very interesting team. Yeah.
And we got Czech Republic versus Corsairs, and I'm gonna support the Corsairs in that one because, as I said before, Duderino's in that team. So good luck to Duderino with that.
You know what? I think that matchup, player for player, is very close. But apart from really the standout player, obviously for the Corsairs, who I think will probably win it for them, will be Duderino with his Dark Elves.
Yeah, for sure.
Poland, putting pressure on him.
Well, yeah, naturally, yeah. Poland, Germany, probably another close one. Same with Switzerland, Norway. Those could go either way. Germany have been strong, haven't they? So, but Poland, Germany, Switzerland, Norway could be, they may not have the big names that we know of leaping out, but they certainly have players that can do damage in all those teams, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think Germany, kind of Arioso and Baki and Junior 84, Miko, who's
Yep.
Dr. Sprinter, Stymie. I think they've probably got enough there. And Switzerland, obviously, we know pretty well. They've nicked a couple of German coaches, haven't they? Siggy's now Swiss.
Yeah, Siggy's Swiss. I saw that earlier. I had a little giggle at that.
Yeah. Swiss, and they got Strider and Jacquero, who played in the TSD final.
Yes, I did. Yes.
And Mad Matt, actually, who I've seen play a fair bit on Fumble, exceptionally good Amazon player. So I think probably fancy those two in those two.
Very good.
Probably
And then,
have a little bit. Yeah.
Then the last two matchups are Austria-Scotland, which I'm personally very interested in. I know a lot of the Scots, and I know, as I say, I know Juanchi, and I've actually played against a few of the Austrians as well on Blood Bowl 2, so that's going to be an exciting one. I think Scotland will edge Austria in that one, but I think that there are particular Austrian coaches that will do well. I think the sum of the parts will add up for Scotland, but I think there's some individual matchups that could be very close there. And then
Juanchi's well known, and Ludgrip as well.
Yeah, Ludgrip, yeah. And then we got USA versus Netherlands to tie it off, and I'm excited just to see how the US play. But
it's not the USA, is it? Have you seen what they've called the team?
Oh yes, they've called it. Where is it? I did see it.
Red, white, and boom.
Red, white, and boom. The funny things you do, America, this is you. Very good.
Brian Two. I don't know why he's listed by his name. Rather, Brian Two's the coach that I've heard of. I think Grither, not Gritter. Grither, I think is the coach that I've really heard of from the USA. It'd be really interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, it'll be great. And I mean, obviously, we've got we've just whet the appetite there with that round 1 draw. But my goodness me, round 3, round 4, round 6. Wow, yeah. Some of these matchups, it's going to be toe-to-toe stuff, isn't it? It could be boiling down to the 1 in 9, costing your team turning a one team event into a drawn matchup or something. It could be fantastic, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. Even in an 8-player tournament, I've heard instances. I'm sure there was something like this last time in Cardiff where at least one team won because somebody made a 6-up dodge.
Oh, disgusting!
And manages to surf a ball carrier from a side cage, and then the whole team then wins that game. An 8-player, 8-a-side game.
Yeah, decided on
that.
Amazing. Right. Well, shall we touch briefly then on some of the EuroOpen stuff before wrapping this one up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got Dragons 2.
So that's one of the Welsh teams. So it's not the official Team Wales in EuroOpen, because obviously there's the Team England, but it's not the official Team Wales. It is a Welsh team.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't know that I have met any of the Dragons 2 got Enderman, Lighttown Max, Northern Knight, and Quackers. I don't. You
might have met Enderman because he's one of Sand's boys.
Ah, okay. But no, I don't. I mean, that'll be great actually to go and meet some new players that I've not met before. So that's a great start to the tournament.
Also useful that they all speak English.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's a good start to the tournament, isn't it?
Because I don't, you could feel slightly sort of let down, couldn't you? Traveling all the way to Malta and you got another British team round 1, but actually, I've not met any of these guys before, so it'd be great.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I tell you what, my main concern, fear is that I sit down opposite someone from one of these countries, and I'm trying, and we have some confusion over the rules. And I don't speak their language at all because I'm useless in terms of foreign languages, and I can't explain to them in English how this rule is interacting or something. That's my only concern really for the whole tournament, is I sit there looking like an absolute idiot while I'm trying to explain. If you wrestle the ball and chain down, you're in the KO box, it's however that rule plays out. There was a nice returning arc back to the start of the episode there, guys. That That's one of
I
those
think
one of those
I think
archetypes.
what I've found at UKTC and 3 times or whatever I've been is that everyone that I've encountered um, certainly speaks very strong Blood Bowl English at the very least.
Ah, yes.
Speak Blood Bowl English, and if not, the guy next to them usually can.
Very true. Very true.
And I think we're probably lucky, stroke lazy, stroke America and Hollywood and pop songs from America and probably from Britain as well, and the internet being mostly in English mean that for a lot of people speaking English as a second language is just
Yeah,
something.
we're quite spoiled, aren't we? We are.
Yeah.
You know,
So and some of them are brilliant, aren't they? So
yeah.
so let me shout out some names at you, and you tell me who they've got. Okay, because we can't do the whole of EuroOpen, can we? So
Oh God. I can't. So I can't see the
oh, can you not?
I've got some of the draw for Euro Open. That's the problem. So I've got I missed the live stream that they did for it. But I've got some of it. I've got one page of it. I've got 29 matchups.
Right.
So I can tell you who any of these 29 play. I think the matchup that stands out quite a lot for me on this page in particular is not only Team England versus Dragons 2. It is Team Italy versus Team Austria. So those are officials. And Team Spain versus Team Denmark.
Wow.
Now those are pretty. If obviously we've said the Euro Open might shake down into two kind of groups, and I would imagine that the people that are on Team Insert Nation here are probably the ones that are wanting to take it a bit more seriously. And for 4 of them to be drawn versus each other in round 1,
that's pretty big, isn't it?
Is big, isn't it? Yeah, because you don't win the tournament on round 1, but you can probably lose the tournament in round 1 in terms of not being able to get first. When it's that size, I think in EuroBowl you could probably lose a round, and you might still get a win if everything falls.
I think I'm right in saying that in every one of those 5 in a row that England have won, they have lost a round.
Yeah. There we go. So it is that possible.
Competitive at the top.
Yeah.
It's that competitive at the top that actually losing a round isn't the end of the world because
however,
no one goes 6-0.
No. However, 6-0 when it's a big event does become possible.
Needed, it's going to be needed. Isn't it?
So that's pretty big. Team Malta have got a team called Swiss Foreign Legion, so that sounds good. I do like some of these team names. The Democratic Republic of Yorkshire. That's nice, that's good. Team Wales themselves have got what sounds like an Italian team that's after more POWs. So that's good. But yeah, and Team USA have also put in an official Euro Open, which is absolutely fantastic. Because not only bringing a Euro Bowl team, but also bringing a Euro Open team is fantastic.
Yeah, let's shout out to House Blackfire, who obviously
fantastic!
Who's made that team? Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, so it's really good.
So unfortunately, as I said, I've only got 29 matchups there. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say is alongside the official team of the sort of, I think the other ones people should probably be looking out for if they want to keep an eye on that tournament. Socks from France for players. Harty, I think.
Oh yes.
Highest rated of French players. There is a team called LGBT, another French team with Helborg, Lord Bojo, Obsidian, and Pilaf. That's a heck of a team. There is a team, as I think I mentioned earlier, Korkapau with Borpif, Karak, Sam Dulac, and Simon ACP.
Oh wow,
All easily
wow,
be on
that's
Team
scary.
France. Yeah,
Wow, that's a scary team.
and they've all bought sense somewhere. I mean, Undead, Lizards, Necro, and Dark Elf.
Oh, they're going for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely coming to play. But the one that stood out for me, if I can find them, is a team called the Elder Statesmen, who I suspect, I think regard themselves anyway as being slightly older or well tournamented. And I don't know Old Man Draco that's a giveaway, isn't it? Old Man Draco or Shajapi particularly well. Twilenor, I know Twilenimor has played for Germany. And then, of course, the lovely Peter D, who I think holds the record for the most tournaments attended in one calendar year.
Amazing. I can tell you, Fia, they are starting EuroOpen on table 1.
Do you know what they've bought? Do you know what races they've got?
No, I've got no idea.
They've gone full stunty.
Oh, amazing! Oh, amazing! Look at that. That's exactly it, though, isn't it? And that just sums it up beautifully, doesn't it? You've got people there who are good coaches, loads of experience, coming in with probably, they would be probably more than happy if they broke even as a team across the whole weekend. 2-2-2 as a team across the whole weekend. They'll be ecstatic with that. But they will do some damage, won't they?
Oh, I mean, there's 4. I guess. I mean, they call themselves the Elder Statesmen. So there's, 2 of them I know are very experienced. I presume all 4 of them are. So they're bound to do somebody over at some point.
For sure.
And if you get a round win with full stunty, then I think you can go on the beers, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice to see Squad Chaos have got a team in.
Oh yeah. Squad Chaos have got a fair few.
Disappointed that Granota's not bought Slan.
Well, I think they had to make choices. Possibly before Granota went nuts with Slan. I think the rosters have to be in.
So, as you said, we're sort of getting towards a point of kind of wrapping up now, I guess.
Yeah.
Final thoughts then. So, what are your hopes for the weekend? What are your hopes for the team? And on a personal level, what will you come away with as a sort of criteria for success?
Yeah, sure. So I think for the team, I would be lying if I want the team to do as well as they can, right? We can't be looking past round 1. Round 1 is definitely, as you said, is the draw. It's the game of the draw, really. That's the matchup of the draw, isn't it? So I'm just going to be looking to play as well as I can every round. See what needs to be done for the team. If that's just sitting there and playing for a draw, I'll play for the draw. Fine. But if I'm asked to push, if the captain asks me to push for a win, I'll push for the win. So it's going to be very much that mentality, which is something I quite enjoy. I enjoy my Amazons. I'm having some fun with them at the moment, and it's going to be nice to have a little swan song with them before the rule set change, before the team changes come into play. So in terms of the team itself, I just want Wales to do as well as we can. I don't know where we sit in terms of everyone else. We've mentioned obviously England is strong, Italy, France, Spain. I don't know whether we are the 5th strongest team there. Are we the 3rd strongest team there? If we all pull together, a bit of the dice, bit of rub of the green, play well, could we beat any of those 3 teams? Yeah, sure. So I want Wales to do as well as we can. On a personal note, I just want to play as well as I can and do myself feel like I've given as much as I have done in other matches. I said on Fumble and stuff when I've played against this caliber of coach. I know I can play well against the caliber of coach that's going to EuroBowl. So I just want to make sure that I do that. And at the end of the day, I'm playing a race I enjoy. I'm going to be sat next to people that I like being around. On Team Wales. There's going to be some good banter, couple of beers, but not too many. And yeah, it's going to be great just to see people, I think. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think. Well, I can't remember, what did I ask you? I suppose for the team. What am I? Yeah, for the team. I think probably we haven't talked about it, but I suspect we're all acutely aware that carrying the England badge in a European Blood Bowl tournament, we're probably there to be shot at a little bit, in the sense that England have done so well in EuroBowl, that people will inevitably play their best against us. So that's so. What do I want for the team? I just go and play our best Blood Bowl and enjoy ourselves. On paper, there probably are one or two teams that should finish, maybe ahead of us, but I do think we've got a strong enough team to challenge right up there, and so let's just let's go have some fun, play our best Blood Bowl, and kind of see how we do. In terms of, for me personally, what success? Yeah, I mean, probably similar to yourself. Just do the job I need to do for the team. If that means going, 1-4-1 or something, or 0-6-0, or constantly, if I'm just told every game or just draw, that's fine. I don't mind that. Yeah.
Yep.
Just hopefully don't do anything daft, which costs a round. Which I'd obviously get that feeling a little bit at UKTC that I'd had a couple of things go against me that cost the team rounds. So hopefully, we've got that out of our system. So just go play well. I think what I'm really looking forward to, beyond everything else, though, is I have never played Blood Bowl outside of the UK.
Yeah, for sure.
Go and sit in another country, in another environment. I got no idea. Even UKTC, okay, it's got a multinational feel, but it's in York. It's in a university in York. Like you're comfortable in the environment. All the signs are in English. All the vending machines are in English. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've driven on the right side of the road to get there. The weather's English. It's going to be. Looks like it's going to be pretty hot. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the building's going to be like. I've seen pictures, but what's it like when you're there? How does that feel to sit down and play? And yes, amazing to meet all these guys that we've met online and played with. And that'll be tremendous. Amazing to meet the guys from Dragons 2, who I've never run into, and I'm sure we'll all be like, oh my God, we're in Malta playing Blood Bowl. But yeah, that for me is the thing, just to go and say, right, I'm in another country playing Blood Bowl now.
Yeah, and also for you, of course, the amount of beers that you're going to get bought for running TSD.
Right?
Very, very.
I know you're not necessarily the necessarily the one for being the biggest drinker in the world, but if you do fancy a beer or two, standing next to me might be quite a good place to stand.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I will. Yeah. I'm not a. I enjoy a tipple now and then, but I'm definitely going to be. It's game day. It's.
When are you getting there? When are you getting there?
We're arriving early on the Friday. We got an early.
Okay.
Friday,
Well, I think Speeding Bullet and I are flying over on the Thursday night, so we've kind of got Thursday night maybe.
Yeah.
So, and then there's are you flying back on the Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Yep, on the Monday. Yep.
So maybe Sunday night is.
Have a couple of beers on Sunday night for sure.
Have a couple of beers. It's going to be.
Oh, it's. I'm so excited. And and the next podcast that we do is just going to be electric. I think, isn't it? I'm already excited for the next one because, as we've said, double header, day 1. Day 2, big roundup, in-depth analysis, back to the old school Blood Bowl Diaries of the start of the year. Nice.
Episode 2, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, old school.
Back to episode 3 style, guys. Yeah, we're going old school. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Well, absolutely. that was. I mean, I've enjoyed this episode, mate. It's been lovely chatting to you again. Obviously, as I touched on at the beginning, we've had a bit of an unfortunate scheduling kind of thing, real life getting in the way. But yeah, wonderful to do another episode, and yeah, we'll be back. I mean, within a few weeks probably, because I suspect both of us are going to want to get on with that episode. On the Tuesday night, maybe. Let's fly back on the Monday. Let's record the podcast on the Tuesday. Kind of thing. So
I mean, Hellboy, bring your laptop, or just do it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live. Yeah, we'll do it live in the evenings. Yeah, record in the evenings, debrief in the evenings, live from Malta. Yeah. Oh, wonderful stuff. Right. Yeah. Well, that.
The only thing to say is, if you're listening to this on Spotify, Hellboy has referenced that he's put a link to the.
The Tableau.
On the YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube.
YouTube, you need to go with Hellboy _, and you need the _ Hellboy _ Blood Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, the underscore is very important. Yes.
You'll find the episode there, along with some other bits and bobs. And
Yeah, some songs and some replay stuff. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
pointless stuff. Yeah, it's the podcast.
and if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can also download it on Spotify.
There we go. What a professional you are, Fear. Right. Well, that was episode 9 of the Blood Bowl Diaries with me, Hellboy.
And me, the Fear.
And the next time we see you guys, or you hear us, we will have come back from Malta and the EuroBowl and EuroOpen. Until then, bye.
And bye from me.